kind of unthawed a little bit. That's one back there too.
Yeah, so we're gonna get that thing set up ears to ears, mustard seed Jones, so we're gonna put you on the big screen back there.
Uh-oh.
So that right there, something for real. It ain't quite 4K, but it got a K in it.
Remote right here.
600K, something like that. Make sure we get you all the way live. All the way live.
All the way live.
And is.
All the way live.
Is, that's what it is.
Yeah, look.
Is, that's what it is.
Just happy to be in the building. Just happy to
Let's
be
see
in the
what we
building.
got here. Let's see what we got here.
That's wrong.
Let me see. $1,000 road shoe, you know. Midnight, right now. Ooh, look at that. Look at that, is. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Okay. All right.
Do something, we can do something with
Bring it on up. Okay.
Do something with
All
that.
these one. Okay, we got one. Okay, we got two. We got three. We got, okay, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. We are live here on Barbershop Story, the podcast, episode 100. The word more nigga be saying, I'm gonna keep it 100, all that shit like that. So, of course, if you do something as big as 100, you gotta have somebody on there special. That, you know, that's what I say. You know, when I was sitting back there, me and Sam were talking, we were like, man, who the fuck we gonna get 100? So we went to holler about Farrakhan. We were like, nah, he may not be able to make it. He may not be able to make it. We were like, Michael Jordan, nah, you know, we need somebody bigger. You know what I'm saying? And we were like, Magic Johnson. We were like, nah, we need somebody just a little bit bigger. So then it hit me. Sam was like, he just kept saying, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm like, it is what it is. IsIs. I'm like, okay, all right. So then when we looked at it, I'm like, damn, you know, you're talking about somebody who's been in radio. So they were like, I think she was like 9 and shit like that.
Not 9. Did you say 9? Okay.
She
Well-known personality around the city and the country.
Early, all around the country. You know, they've done all type of things, you know, from the big thing to the small thing to the all thing. But it was one thing about it, it was a wonderful thing. So it is my pleasure to welcome to Barbershop Stories Podcast.
Episode 100.
100. Is Mustard Seed Jones.
Bro, Philando Park said, what's up?
What up, is? Yeah, I said, I want to be up here with a star. I got to look like one of them.
You know
so
what?
let me put my glasses on. We got
It's the man sitting next to the man sitting next to the man.
Yeah, sitting next to the one man. That's right. Sitting next to the one man.
Fine, they were strong.
Yeah. So, hey, we appreciate everybody tuning on in to this podcast. You know, of course, we like to bring everybody from the local to the international to the regional to countrywide. However, because everybody means just a little something. So we're going to talk about just whatever we need to talk about. We're going to make it, you know, we're going to make it do what it do. So if you would do this, put it on your platform, let folks know we here. Do that. Y'all know what this is? It's motherfucking ISIS, you know what I'm saying? For real. She got one of the names of what they say, one of the toughest, feared folks in the world, ISIS. She got one of them names. So, hey, so that's what it is. So, and hey, I'm on here. I'm a comedic narrator, haircut, slanger, Benny Mac, and that fella there is.
Hey, on No Nose, you know, we keep that info for you, man.
That's right.
We got Miss Jones in the house about to tell us her story about her journey.
Okay. Well,
being a personality, a guru in this business, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know, now you finna know.
I don't know about guru, probably guru with the
guru, baby. Guru, you know how we said in the shop, guru.
Yeah, that when that shit, that when they travel through the hood. That's a motherfucking guru there.
Guru right there.
That's that guru. Well, that's what's happening. What?
Miss
Jones? Who is ISIS? You know, we didn't just sat there and throwed up the lob, so who is ISIS from your words? Who is this young lady that they speak of?
You know what? I'm still trying to figure that out to a certain degree. But for the most part, first and foremost, congratulations on your 100th show. That's dope. That is so dope.
100, 100.
That is not an
Never
easy
rhyme.
feat, contrary to what
No.
everybody sits there and thinks out there. You know, that's progress, and I applaud both of y'all for making the commitment and having some fun with it.
Being
So,
around.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Me.
None better.
You know, when I got back here, what was it, 2007,
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Birmingham from St. Louis. And been in radio off and on. I'm about 51 right now. Been in radio since I was about 16 years old. Started at
50 who? 50 well.
51.
Damn, so I was just a few years old. I said you started at 9. You said 16. Hey, I was a few years old. My fault.
You know where you are over there. No, but it's a blessing. It's a blessing. So I'm gonna claim all that. Thank you, God. But no, it's just been like I said. My father walked me up to the college radio station in Lake University in Jefferson City, and I never looked back. You know, and it basically I think radio is one of those careers that actually claimed me. It wasn't necessarily it was a calling. I think that basically came upon and my father supported it. And like I said, I'm still doing it. It's one of the best careers I've ever had in my life. And don't get me wrong, I've done some other things, not just radio, but it started in that degree.
Well, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So 16 to 51, that's a lot of years.
Yeah.
It's a lot of years, but like you said, it's nothing shorter than the blessing of being 3.5 decades.
Man.
You know, because radio is an ever-changing thing.
I like how you did that math, though.
I just went to Woodlawn.
Right.
I went to Woodlawn and Lawson, you know, that, you know, other than that,
it was up. No,
education.
it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
Oh, yeah, because it's an ever-changing thing. So I guess how do you feel like you was able to stay in radio after all these years? Because typically, radio is one of those things that's ever-changing, you know, because personalities change in, change out. All types of stuff happens. So how did you find yourself in it? Or like you said, the radio just continuously find you?
Well, number one, I had some talent. You know, I had just a little bit of talent. And it's amazing, as I always try to tell folks, no matter what it is that you do, if you have a little bit of talent, that will take you anywhere you need to go. You just start with a little bit of talent, you know, and it can be developed. It's not like you have to be, like you said, Michael Jordan or Michael Jackson. You just had to have a little bit of talent that you want to, like, actually build upon. And I think that kind of took me a lot further. I really enjoyed music. I really enjoyed radio. So it made it easy. It was like my father used to always try to tell me that if you did something that you loved, you wouldn't work a day in your life. And I'm a firm believer in that and actually enjoying myself and having fun, because if I'm not having fun, it's kind of like I'm just, you know, collecting the check.
Yeah, just doing it.
And that's not kind of what I'm into either. Though I have to admit, I had, like, until now, I think a lot of my career has been based upon me just playing it safe. I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't been like a household name, but try to go into a national sphere, and it's never been my real desire. But I just like focusing on us. I mean, I think that's always been my grand scale, but I always enjoy working with black people, black music, and any way I could get into that. I mean, shoot, think about it. You get to play music all damn day and actually run your mouth, and you get paid for this. Yeah. You know, so I mean, that's a lot. It's a better day than at McDonald's. I mean, I ain't gonna sit here in front, and I've worked at McDonald's, so I know. So it's one of those things where I appreciate just the opportunity. And like I said, I wasn't really I didn't mix nothing up. I ain't start no shit. You know, it was just I handled my business, and my reputation was just the fact of I'm a worker. I'm a team player. But on top of that, I really love what I do. So if you allow me to do that, we gonna make some money.
That sound like a plan, no?
And with all due respect, I mean, you don't view yourself as that person, but outside looking in, people see you, you know, as you know, larger than life. You know what I'm saying? Like when your voice coming over those airways, you're speaking to a lot of people. You know, a massive audience. You know what I'm saying? Hearing your voice at one time. So, I mean, you know, I think people that's in entertainment and different things never feel the same way that people view them. You know what I'm saying? You still feel like I'm just regular me. You know what I'm saying? But people view you larger than life regardless. You know what I'm saying? I think where you can be on a rural station somewhere in the country that might be a little pirate station, or you can be on the biggest station in New York. But in that place, in that town or that state or whatever, that's how you view. But I heard you say you had some time in St. Louis.
Yes.
So around that time, of course, I did a little homework on it. I seen the time you were in St. Louis before you came to Birmingham. It was kind of like St. Louis was kind of going around that time.
Look, St. Louis to this day.
Yeah, because that was like pre-09.
Look, this is when country grammar became country grammar.
Exactly, yeah.
Nelly, Chingy, Jaquan, Track
Exactly.
Stars.
I
mean, the St. Louis and Atlanta connection was so beautiful. And to be a part of a radio station that was in the middle of all that, we had the shows, we had the competition. This was when radio was like, we were out here, pulling plugs during different shows and stuff. I mean, the stories are wild, but it was a growing time. And during that time, it was also a growth in a time for just radio and just music, period. You think about all the stuff that was going on at the time in Atlanta, Freaknik. This is during that era where you're kind of getting a little crossover. Again, St. Louis by Nelly was put on the map overnight.
Yeah. So when did you kind of start up that way? Like, was St. Louis your first stop in radio?
No. Lincoln University down the street in Jefferson City, which is about maybe an hour and a half. Lincoln University is an HBCU. It's not the one in Pennsylvania, so don't do me like that. But the point being, again, we were one of the best HBCUs. Damn what y'all say. And I started radio when I was in high school and actually went to college. Don't do that. So we went to
LA.
LU, motherfucker. Okay, but the point being again is that this was the black experience for me. Okay, you got to think of a young girl that didn't really know about black history until she got into her freshman year in high school, and they actually celebrated at the white high school Black History Month. I sat on the floor crying and cutting up Jet magazines and Ebony magazines of Martin Luther King because I did not know this man did all this for us. And so when I found out, it was kind of but the point being, like, I started there, ended up going to an AM station, my first black-owned AM station, WRXB in St. Petersburg, Florida. Left there, went to WTMP, which was in Tampa, right across the water. That was another black station, AM station. Ended up going to 102 Jams in Orlando, Florida, and ended up leaving there, going back to Jefferson City because I wanted to finish my degree, and I hadn't finished college at that time. I started and didn't finish because I was in radio and I was having some fun and I was having way too much fun. But ended up going back to Jefferson City, getting my degree, graduated, went to film school, turned around, followed a man I was in love with to St. Louis, started in radio, stayed there for 7 years, got a job in Birmingham, stayed here for 11 years, went back to St. Louis for 2 years, then came back, and I've been here since last year? Yeah.
You'll say them years.
Yeah. But I retired from corporate radio back in August of last year and working for, the station I work for now and running my show as IsIs Jones LLC is probably one of the best accomplishments I think I've ever felt in my life.
All right, so what do you mean for people that don't know? And first off, Barbershop Stories, the podcast, episode 100. We sitting here with IsIs Mustard Seed Jones. All right. So IsIs, when you say corporate radio, for those that don't know, what's the difference between what you're currently doing in corporate radio? The perks, the good and the bad.
It's the structures. Of course, with any company, with a bigger company, of course, you have more dollars to throw at different situations, events, promotions, things of that nature. A corporation usually has many tentacles in the sense that they're not just located in Birmingham, they're located in Atlanta. You think about iHeart. iHeart's probably the, Clear Channel going to iHeart is probably the best example of a corporate setup. Again, you have some incredible stations. The wattage is incredible. But it's very cookie cutter to a certain degree. It's very micromanaged in certain degrees. Not necessarily a bad thing because I still believe that radio is your first line of defense when it comes to information. The ability that we have to actually turn on a dime as opposed to a TV station And of course, social media, you get posts and things about there, but radio still seems to be that one thing. If a storm comes through, oh, you are turning on your radio because your TV might not work at that point. So,
Especially with all the cable.
do you understand what I'm saying? The hateration. But even then, I still try to tell folks it's still a medium that needs other pieces, just like everything else is. We're so digital today. We're so locked into the internet. These basic things play into a big corporation being able to handle these different things. Creating events. iHeart has a lot of concerts that they sit here and throw. They have the money to do that. Now, the situation that I'm in right now is privately owned. And as I was saying, the station that I started with was a black-owned radio station, WRXB, in St. Petersburg, Florida. The fun part about where I'm at also now is that you don't have too many black-owned radio stations by a black owner, and it's a small station.
So let me ask you this.
Yes,
why do you think that's so, though? Do you think it's because they don't want to just get in the radio and all the politics in it, or it's just not available for them to get? Because I know you got to have
all of that.
Dial.
All of that. All of that. It's kind of like folks don't want to sell nothing until it's not worth nothing.
Shit, right.
It's kind of like it's a continuous thing. And then on top of that, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. It is not cheap. You think about how it takes to run the shop. Electricity, advertising, electricity. That's basically, but the products, stuff that you need, towels, all these other different pieces that you basically need. But you think about how that basically adds up, and that's with a business. That's just not even with a radio station. That's just a business principle, period. So I think, again, yes, some of it is built to dissuade us from having our own voice, which radio extends to us. Think about all the different channels that you run into during the elections and people, giving their message out. These things are important for connection, for people to get information. But I mean, in the differences of what a corporate is and what an independent is, of course, it's money, it's resources, it's available bodies, it's the ability to get more out to your public, and especially with wattage.
Yeah, that's real interesting because it's like now, the way I think most people see radio now, of course, it's much different than from what it was, let's just say 20 years ago.
Man.
So it's like, do you think radio is still relevant in a sense, considering that the cell phone is like the god of many now? Do you think radio is still that relevant? Or you think it still can be depending on the marketing and promotion that whatever station put in it?
Well, I have to admit, I actually teach communications, and I have told my students on a number of different counts that radio is a dying medium. And I will say that publicly, even though I'm in the midst of it. But the caveat, as you basically said, was that it depends on the market. It depends on the personalities. You have a lot of stations who are driven in that regard. And, there are certain cities that actually lend themselves to more hands-on. And I mean, and I know a lot of us have fought it, and I think, I'm probably an example of that in the sense of I just believe that technology allows us to do a number of different things.
Yeah.
And we should embrace that to a certain degree. The old monikers do have to be put into place, though, because there has to be a certain respect, just like there is with television, just like there is with comedy, just like there is with barbering. You can't have some old young whippersnapper walking here and tell you that he's going to sit here and, take the head seat or a booth without you basically going through the process.
Yeah.
So it's the same situation. But I believe that everybody can find their voice. But yes, it's one of many mediums. People have choices.
Yeah, but I believe in my opinion that local radio is probably one of the only mediums of radio that could still work depending on who's pushing the station. I mean, real talk, because with local radio, you right there.
Right.
National radio, like with corporate, it's like you right there, but you ain't there because something happened, you may have to show it tomorrow. But with local radio, you right there, depending on who's pushing the vessel of local radio is how to work. Because I think in most cities that I've visited, the small independent radio station, if they're run properly, you can tell it because you see them all the time in the community.
Well, I mean,
and I think that's what kind of that string. That's one of those strings that's still holding it. But once it loses that connection, I think that's when it dies.
Well, I'm a firm believer that again, you know, you can tell the progress of a tree by its fruits. Period.
Yeah.
And that can be displayed in a myriad number of ways. But it's always going to be a touch. You've always got to be able to sit here and reach people where they're at, and to be able to voice something, and it's a feel. You know, you can play all the music in the world, but if you don't have a feel behind it, then it's just a jukebox. It's just you know, and you can get it anywhere.
So you can make a playlist.
And more people, I think, understand that in the industry, and I think a lot of things have changed. I've seen it change in different, you know, parts of the country where people kind of gravitate towards, you know, certain characters and certain content, and that's great. And I think that should be that way. I'm a big NPR fan, but I know when I tune in what exactly I'm listening in for. So you know, I'm there for it. And you have a lot of folks who understand. You know, it's popular in that regard. I just started with Foodies with the Tea. I want to give them a big hug and kiss. They actually, you know how much I hate gossiping, so it's hard for me to do it. And I be just so focused on positive. So I finally, you know, got my folks in Foodies with the Tea. That is Toya, that is Big Unk, that is Twan, and that is Deirdre. And they have their own foodie show, but they're able to come in and actually talk about trends, gossip, things of that nature. Stuff that I don't want to sit here and necessarily talk about. So it's fun to have them on the show, but it's one of those things, again, where you bring other people into this scenario and just show them what it can be, because we all know to a certain degree, just even with this podcast, it's not radio, but it's kind of it's another venue and another avenue in which to get your message out. And there's just too many options, you know, because like I said, I love radio to death, but once you basically show me that I can get it other ways, you know, it's just a point and a click, and better yet, a conversation. So you have to figure out what works, you know, best for you, because everybody's kind of fighting to be on radio, and I'm kind of like, I hear you, but you have a whole internet. Yeah. What you doing?
But see, I understand how people can get caught up in stuff like that, because just like with the internet, people follow what's popular. Like you can look at TikTok and you can see one person start a channel where whatever, you know, whatever the shit may be. The next thing you know, you hear the same beat, same thing, and it looks good, especially if you see somebody who's going viral. Yeah. So I think it's the same thing with radio, TV, being a comedian, like even doing comedy. If you go up there, like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a bad motherfucker with it. Right. If I get up there, when I come off the stage, people be looking like, I can do that shit, because it looks so easy. It looks so easy.
We mess around and make it look easy, and everybody come, and I'm there for it. I promise you I am. But it's kind of like, but just like I said before, just like you come in here, use a process. You know, you just can't jump from 0 to 100. Don't get me wrong, you dope as hell. But there's a process to do, and there's a learning curve also that I think that you would want to have, as opposed to just sitting here thinking that you know everything. Look, okay? How you say
some are blessed than others, but they gonna have theirs too.
A soft head make for a soft ass make for a hard head, or a hard head make for a soft ass every day.
Make a soft ass.
Okay.
Ain't no hopscotching through that process. I know you're gonna make it sound kind of fire, but it ain't no hopscotching through it.
And I love that. I mean, and for most of us, it's not even a situation of embracing. We always want to sit there and like fight change, but I'm like, damn it, embrace that shit as soon as you can.
Well, yeah, I agree. You're supposed to embrace change, because one thing about it, whatever made it change, it probably needed to change.
Well, I mean, but
it probably needed to change.
Let's get down to the bare tax of it. Okay, if God let you decide how this thing was gonna run, you would stay in that motherfucking spot the easy spot forever. Yeah.
Most people gonna take the easiest route.
The road less traveled. They're gonna sit here and make it as comfortable as they possibly can. Exactly. And when he moves you out the situation, you have to understand that's for your protection sometimes, and better yet, for your growth and for your strength. Now, if you don't embrace it like that, then you go, I can't believe. Man,
that's true. That's true. I agree.
You're gonna find a negative in everything.
Sorry, it's just like, but you can't. And I guess that's the beauty of also going through all these different scenarios and being in radio as long as I have, because you've seen so many things. Do you understand? In St. Louis, again, God's gonna take you through some things. My whole staff got fired right before Christmas.
Damn.
Except me and C-Note. 2 cats.
C-Note and mustard seed. C-Note and mustard seed.
Okay, you know,
Goddamn.
and you would have thought in my heart, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. You know, my whole family, my whole radio family, people I see every damn day. These people who have knocked in speakers, who have, held my hair while I threw up at a concert, who have done everything, who have been with, to me at 3 o'clock in the morning while we sitting here unplugging
Work
stuff.
family.
You understand, the whole family gone. So to come back and be like, okay, and to still stay in it, and still that know God has a purpose, and to be moved through those situations and to learn some things. But that was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, was just kind of like, this is radio, this is a business.
Well, I'm gonna agree with you like 97% of the way. Only thing I say different, because I know like a lot of people say this is business.
Right.
And I think that's a loosely used term.
Right.
Like a lot of people say it because we are accustomed to hearing people say, man, it's just business. But that shit ain't business.
Yeah,
And the reason why I say that is because real business is taking care of the way it's handled. Because you got to handle business in a certain way too. You know what I'm saying? Like if like the folks you said got fired, if they would have just up and got an opportunity, they would have expected a 2-week notice. So the company, to me, it's the same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum. But on one end, we call it business. The other end, we call it shit happens. It ain't business. It's some fuck shit.
Well,
and we just have to call it for
agree.
what it is.
And
I mean, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But it's like now, I always kind of been like this. I look at shit either left or right, up or down, east or west, not anything in the middle. And when we start accepting things for what they are, it kind of fuck up the folk behind us too, because they emulate what they saw us do before them. That shit ain't business.
Well,
fuck them shit.
And you know what? And the fun part about that is that it can be anything that you basically needed and wanted to be. When the aspect of, it's just business, yeah, that can be code, that can, cloak a lot of dumb shit. Trust and best believe. There have been some questions that I've had in the sense of just business in the past and how people have handled things. But I think, again, in the midst of all that, I can't really sit back and say that the situation took me anywhere that I wasn't supposed to sit here and go at the time.
Well,
and I guess that's my only thing. It's just kind of like I just have never, it's kind of like once you know the nature of a creature, I don't question it.
Yeah, I mean that, but now I'm 100% with you on that. I'm 100% on that. But like I don't know, like to me, I just like me being self-employed for 24 years now. Shit, that's over half my life. So it's almost like the way I see things, I accept. Like they say, accept things you can't change, but that don't mean you don't look at it like that's fuck shit.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, I think if you're a real nigga, that you have to kind of see things as they are.
Yeah.
But that's the fucked up part about this business, to realize how many people don't see it like that. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, as much as is the fact that you have to understand that, okay, it's just like let's take it out of the realm of industry. Let's take it out of the realm of music. Let's take it out of the realm of radio. Let's just take it into the realm of just the everyday, the neighborhood. Okay, just the flat out neighborhood. If you sit there and say that you about A, B, and C, and something goes down and you don't conduct yourself like A, B, and C, folks are gonna sit there and deal with you accordingly. Okay, on how you basically responded to the situation. It doesn't matter if you Joe Shooter, the rag shit man, or you Bertha over at the discount store. It don't matter. If you sit there and say one thing and act with another way, people are going to treat you in the realm of what it is that you're basically going through. Now, with the industry, I believe it's the same way in the sense of, yes, you can call it for what it is. But you also have to live within the confines of what this situation is. Once you know, again, I always come back to once you know the nature of a creature, and that's an entity, that's an individual, that is your own biases and fucked up ways of looking at things. Okay, it's just that you have to kind of understand exactly what you're getting into, and better yet, buy into it.
Yeah.
You, as an independent businessman for 24 years, don't have the mindset that a lot of us have in this industry. And we've talked about that, and we've discussed that on a number of different levels. And my whole thing is I've always been appreciative of the fact that, like, even with seeing my father, like going from the military to actually being, in real estate and doing some things, it's a mind switch, it's a mind change, and it should work for some people, but it doesn't always work in that regard. So I try to see people as they are, and just like you said, when you sit here, you look at life and reality, and I don't try to sit here and kind of quote nothing in the sense of how people deal with it, even if they try to do it in a professional way. Like I said before, I have some beautiful people that I might not necessarily agree with to this day. But I also realized that the interaction and the situation I went through grew me, helped me progress, strengthened me, and allowed me to basically know that from this point forward, I know I wasn't going to treat A, B, and C or any other person like I got treated and how I felt. That's one thing that I love about where I started in radio with the college. Like, we laugh back and forth about education. But the biggest thing that I've learned when I was in college is, like, I ran into so many people, especially now. A lot of these kids are getting fleeced. When it comes to communication and learning radio, well, I'm just going to go to school for it so I can get a radio. I said, but you can't walk out that bitch and get a job.
No.
And because these kids, like I said, if y'all children cannot go into a place of education and get enough experience or enough education where they can walk into a local radio station or television and get a job, you are wasting your money. And I only say that from the standpoint that we have to come back. And I guess that's where I was saying before, in the sense of, like, the difference between corporate and between local. And one of the reasons I came back is because, again, I know how important it was. I don't know how many people know about the story of Black Wall Street. And you and I have talked because, again, your experience for 24 years, and also yours, this is not something that, you're used to, not having a 9 to 5 and that structure. And unfortunately, a lot of people kind of, build their life on, well, at least I can fall back on this, or a salary or a job and everything. But once you've been out there and you've had to actually build and eat or kill and eat, it's a totally different mindset. So, fuck shit become real shit real quick, because it's your livelihood all the way around. And when, folks do that. But the point, what I was saying before, is just that I love the fact that, again, I can look at this situation, and I can look at life, and I can look at us, and know that I have a opportunity in which to be able to talk to people, to get people to understand the importance and their worth, not even from a personal side, but from a business side as well, and getting people to understand that you have the power. Like, the frustration I feel right now, it's not even so much, like, there are a lot of things that I don't necessarily, I wish I could say on radio. And when I was on radio in the corporate setting, I wouldn't even think about saying. But now it's getting fun. Well, it's not even so much let it fly because I'm still responsible. I don't want to say anything out of context because
as you should be.
Think about how many people get on the social media and you just see, like, maybe one 30-minute clip or something like that, and you have based a whole fucking response off of a 30-second clip. Okay, you figured it out. You know who's guilty. You don't solve the case. All this shit in 30 seconds.
So let me ask you this. Now, speaking on what you were saying, you're glad you can speak what you want. Now, I guess to a couple political issues. Do you mind talking about politics for real, such as stuff like Roe versus Wade, Biden versus Trump versus this versus that?
Bringing that stuff to the airwaves.
Yeah, basically. Or stuff like that you try to stray away from. Even with people talking about the virus and shit. Whether to take the little bit, whether to take the not. Are you comfortable with talking about that? Do you introduce that to your listeners? And are you like, shit, you talk about it? Based off fact, not off opinion. Are you open to talking about stuff like that?
I'm always open to have the conversation. I think that's the one fun part about being me. I think you know me well enough. I'll have a conversation. I'm not gonna run from it. But in the sense of me just kind of setting it up and teeing it off, probably not. Only from the standpoint that I know that I don't necessarily always agree with people, and the mindset. You and I have disagreed on some stuff, you know.
I'm sure. We're gonna probably disagree on a lot of those. But I respect it though.
And that's the only thing, you know. I want people to understand. I'm like, I respect you enough to have the conversation. The politics of it, other than vote your conscience and get out there and do what's best for your community and basically vote in your interest like everybody else does, but really get out there. Because I'm always surprised when people say, you know, well, voting doesn't work. I'm like, because you're not voting. You know.
But I guess the reason why I was asking you that because me personally, I don't give a fuck what the conversation is. But the reason why I don't is because to me, radio, and I ain't gonna just say radio. Black media now on all platforms, a lot of them are fucking disappointing. And the reason why I say that because a lot of them got millions and millions of followers, and they talk about who done fucked who done just got shot, and Peter and Paul. To me,
and who got some money. Now I'm with all that too, but I think when platforms like that, it got to have conversation. Like if you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat, or vice versa. A great debate where two people can hear people's sides make motherfuckers more interested in politics because the most people I think that are not interested in politics, they see flim-flam year in, year out. Same thing with like Roe versus Wade. The average person don't even really know what the fuck that is.
Right.
But because somebody said you couldn't do something, they just jumped on, harped on.
You're not going to take away the rights of my body. I understand.
But I think they need to hear both sides and even different perspectives on it. That's what I meant by it.
And we don't get enough of that. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why, you know, some of us just, I remember one of my friends, his whole argument was based off the fact that he had read this article on Facebook. And I said, that's where you get your information from? All right. You know, so you also have to be you have to be really, they're going to agree or they're going to disagree. One of the reasons why I think a lot of that content gets changed over in the sense of salaciousness is just the fact that, think about it, half these folks out here, that's all they want. I mean, the best ratings come from chaos, from dumb shit. You know, we always talk about being unified and coming together, but it seems like, you know, when you put folks together and show this type of unity, they ain't trying to hear it. Unless some bullshit in the game or somebody's tearing somebody down or talking crazy to somebody because, unfortunately, that's how a lot of us perceive the world. You understand what I'm saying?
Black White said it all too now.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's kind of like, you know, that Don Henley song, Dirty Laundry, back in the day still applies. You know, we can do it in your window, we can laugh and sing, but when we're said and done, we ain't told you a damn thing. And unfortunately, people buy into that. Like, I watch how many of us actually buy into the news cycle. Turn that shit off sometimes. Yeah. You know, see what's going on in your neighborhood. One of the reasons why it's getting tore up is because you're not there. Your presence ain't there. You know, but you want strong schools, you want strong citizens. Put your money back into. Put your money where your mouth is. And that's why I don't sit here and like listen to a lot of people. This is one reason I don't say this on the radio. Because it's kind of like, because y'all don't get it until we sit here and stop majoring in minors. A lot of this shit is going to continue, and you're cool with it. So as long as you're cool with it, how do I look sitting here trying to convince you of the programming that you were applied to, number one, in your neighborhood, in your family, by your mama? I'm going to tell you your mama was wrong? Nigga, you will fight me in the parking lot, okay? Because you're so acclimated to the dumb shit, so therefore when somebody brings you something of substance, you feel some kind of way because you don't understand it. And so you want to get mad at everybody else because you don't understand. So I don't, so in the street, in the parking lot, oh, you understand? And my whole thing is just kind of like, but that's an example of the unfortunate trauma that you have gone through. And that you're not able to stand, you know, in this feeling world that we live in right now, feel that. Feel the fact that you have been actually set apart in the same mix and you haven't gotten everything that you deserve. And better yet, your outburst of all this dumb shit is because of that. But you don't want to blame your mama. You don't want to have that conversation.
No, what mama or dad said, law.
Man, look.
That shit law.
Look, you know, and my whole conversation is just that I know for a fact, again, I was raised by my father. I had my mother on holidays and on special occasions. And don't get me wrong, my mother's a beautiful person. I have an incredible stepfather. A lot of therapy, a lot of understanding where I came from as well. I think that is essential for people, especially in this time and age, because again, the old standards are there and they should be there, but they need to be put in context. You can whip a kid's ass, for correction, but you also have to be honest in what that correction is about. It can't be about your frustration because you tired and you don't know how to parent correctly, and you don't stop long enough to actually Google this shit. You'll go Google the closest Chinese restaurant, but your ass won't Google how to sit here and treat your child better. Okay? This is the kind of shit that I'm getting better at saying, working on my throat chakra, my heart chakra these days. But the point being, again, is that y'all don't want to hear this. And better yet, some do. And we here for it. So it's also one of those points in having venues and avenues and places in which to be able to have those conversations and be real with us. Because, we always, like you said, in the Republican aspect and the Democratic prospect, I've started to see over the last year, I'm like, damn, Democrats kind of fucking us up to a certain degree. But on the same note, I've had the mindset of looking at things like I don't like people fucking with my property value. Okay? I'm going to have some conversations about some things. And because of ownership changing your mindset on a lot of different things. And I understand that everybody's not set to be an owner, but that's a whole other conversation. But my point being, again, is that with these pieces, and don't get me wrong, because
Barbershop Stories podcast, episode 100. We're sitting here with ISIS, Mustard Seed Jones. Now back to you, ISIS.
I because like I don't like. I'll say it. I don't like playing Megan Thee Stallion on my show. I don't like playing R. Kelly on my show.
But something though was interesting about that. I think that's okay, because I think each individual personality should reflect something different. So when people log into you, they know what they're looking for. You may hear some Master P, but you may not hear Megan Thee Stallion. You may hear some damn Usher, but you may not hear R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's a good thing, though. Because most people now, that shit is a follow leader. Because I remember growing up in the 90s. I was born in 79. I remember.
Oh, you 8. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'll be 43 years old.
70s babies.
Oh, yeah. Cheers. So I remember growing up, and I say it like this because y'all can relate to what I'm saying. When we used to listen to white folk music. Like we used to hear on the radio, shit like Kicks 106, you heard
Hit me with your best shot.
You know what I mean? You heard shit like Boy George and Weekend. You heard Boy George.
Boy George,
yeah.
Do you really wanna
hurt?
Duran. And you knew them songs. That's why it's like now, it's like you got black radio or white radio. But I remember when all of that shit played.
Case.
Yeah. Come on, baby. Come on and go. Then that shit was all in the movies.
Madonna. You regularly heard Madonna on the radio. I mean, like I said, it wasn't.
Everybody cut loose.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a classic.
Kick off your Monday shoes.
That was a classic.
But like I said, that's a prime example of what they pump is what stick with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
And like I was saying earlier, you was asking her about the politics. Does she go into politics and different things on her show? And she went into, I more so get into, the family aspect, community aspect of things. So I think all that stuff is really needed. It's just like I said, what show you listen to at what time for what.
Yeah, for what, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can't say, well, they ain't got this, or she don't play Megan Thee Stallion, or she don't play such and such, or Boy George, or, R. Kelly. Well, listen to the station that's playing R. Kelly, and, you still got that there for the information that you know what I'm saying? This information if you want to hear, because somebody need to be talking about stuff that's going on in the community. A lot of stuff that gets by us is because we haven't been informed. It's been marketed to different areas and different stations.
And that's why I was saying earlier, like when you own all the stations in the city, of course, what do you think information is going to be passed on?
Exactly.
It ain't going to be black information. That ain't they focus.
It's all about the dollar. But honestly, it's almost sad to say, like I said, with black media, and I'm not just speaking on radio. Right. With black media now, it's almost like them fuckers just went to the dollar too.
I mean, but that's where especially on that grand scale where it comes to where it's a business.
Well, that's true,
It's a
but
business.
watch this though.
Okay.
Watch this though. Remember now, I'm 100% with you, but I'm a perspective kind of guy too.
Yeah.
All right.
On one hand, we say, all right, it's all about the money, that's business, right? But at the destruction, is it still business or is it bad business? Because I get it now. Don't get me wrong now, because I'm one of them niggas too. I sell chips, and I understand why people sell what they sell, but it's almost like me looking at it from the other side as the person who's saying, okay, I'm watching this transaction. You know you giving this nigga poison, and it's just business. That's what I mean by that. That's why I say I'm not opposed, but me, that adult side of me, be like,
But
damn,
you still
so
standing at the door,
at the cost.
But you still standing outside that door, yanking on that bitch 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to sit here and do?
Well,
That's the same thing in the drug thing. You know as well as I do. If there's a desire for it, and better yet, we've built the desire for it.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are showing up at my door at 6 o'clock in the morning. You think I'm not gonna sit here and sell you something?
That's true, but that's what I'm saying.
And I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's right. You should have some moral compass about yourself to be able to sit here and decipher. Okay, this is killing my people. This is not productive. And like I said, some of us do what we can while we can in the vicinity of which we can. Okay, that was a problem I think I probably had in corporate radio. I would damn near give the radio station away. Okay, because I just need people to have their information out there. I need folks to understand that they're being heard. I need them to understand that they have a platform in which to be able to do that. Because again, their voices are not being heard in any other venue and not clearly. So this is one aspect of it. And of course, with that wattage, you can do amazing things and reach a number of people.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, again, if it's not built for that and the powers that be are not trying to hear that, then that's not going to basically happen. And even with the small pack that I sit here and perform, it's kind of like I understand it only touches a certain amount of people. And there's so many different platforms, even YouTube channels. Think about the one you on right now. So it's just one of how many people who are basically making a hand over fist. And unfortunately, a lot of us, we still live in the capitalistic system. So to sit here and tell people that, it's wrong to make money, that goes across and beyond the barrier for a lot of folks, and they ain't trying to hear that.
Oh, I agree.
Because you had that same conversation in the hood in the sense of, if you picking up a pet, it's kind of like it's the same damn conversation. If you sit and have enough, if the content is good, it's gonna sell itself. You ain't gotta sit here and do too much, but basically show up, okay? Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is that people get beyond themselves when the ego comes into play, and when they think they're bigger than the purpose. And I think that's where we are with a lot of things, and I think that's where we are with the entities. In the sense of saying, okay, I'm just going to sit here and take care of me and mine. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. I thoroughly understand it. I said, but the thing about it is you leave a lot of other people exposed. And what I mean by that is what you were saying with leaving us exposed in the sense of continuing the fucked up trends, continuing the ability not to be able to see ourselves completely, continuing the... Because the thing about it is, like, if I sit here and tell you that you're great and wonderful, that you're fantastic, even though you fucking up, like profusely. Mm-hmm. But if I sit here and tell you how great and wonderful you are, you're going to come back. You're going to keep on listening to me to a certain degree. Okay? Yeah. So the thing about it is I can't sit there and tell you the truth about this, because if I start telling you, you're going to turn off the television.
Yeah. I mean,
you're going to stop watching, you're going to stop listening.
And like I said, don't get me wrong. I get it. I get it thoroughly, but it's almost like for an example, with Kevin Samuels. That's one. I'm going to name a couple guys. Yeah. Kevin Samuels, Patrice O'Neal.
I love Patrice.
And Corey Holcomb.
I love.
All right, I'm gonna name them three. Now watch what I'm finna say now. Okay. You know why I like them so much?
Why you like them so much?
Is because their style of comedy, I know they had a tough time when they started out. Because it's extremely fucking funny, but it's so truthful.
Yes.
Most folks, they mind, it's like they ain't got no hole in their
I ain't trying to hit you.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is I think it's the same thing in everything. Most of the stuff we do, money plays a huge role in it. And I get it. But I hear those same people always holler about what they want to see change and how much better they want it to be. That you're part of the fucking problem. So, and I'm not opposed to that, but it's like, to me, that's why I can look at both conversations and ultimately come up with the answer that 97% of the people you meet full of shit.
Well, and I think people feel like as long as
On
you're
that
doing,
aspect of shit.
Yeah, because it's like you want to change, but you can't contribute. That's like, I'm like, they need to stop this dope selling in the hood. I said, drop over there, baby King, so you drop this shit off. They're like, but you talking about the crackheads and all that shit, but you still serving them. Because one thing about it, now I'm talking shit because it's a perspective.
yeah,
But them same niggas will tell me he have faith small as a mustard seed.
right.
But then they'll turn around and do something totally different. Because if that the case, faith is small as a mustard seed, that means that there's always gonna be a way that you can make just as much money, but you can't take the route. What they say, the devil with the kind of take this.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yeah, I can drive to Center Point, I can walk to Center Point.
Right.
Nobody wants to walk to Center Point. Even though you know that's the best way because you're in shape, you got what you need, you learned the lesson. Like you said, ain't no shortcut.
Yeah.
But most motherfuckers would get on a jet if they could
Yeah.
and burn up 30,000
Just
gas
to
to
get
get
to some
to
point.
some point. So that's why I said I get it both ways, but the older I get, money becomes less and less valuable to me because it's so easily to be obtained,
Well,
good or bad.
And that is the piece of your character that is different than a lot of people's.
Yeah.
A lot of us were raised in survival mode. And I'll always take it back to psychology. Right. You know, I said a lot of us were, born by said, but a lot of us stay there too.
Yeah.
You know, and it becomes, and it comes to the mindset. Because I mean, something I learned the other day that was kind of interesting was a YouTube channel, a psychiatrist, and she was basically saying how a lot of people who are successful in business are narcissists. You know, because again, it takes a level of disconnect that you have to actually have with certain entities to be just profoundly, successful. And these people are kind of on this little trail of sorts. So I get it, and the people who are very altruistic and very caring, Mother Teresa didn't have anything but a shirt on her back, so it doesn't offer that reward and that success that most people are kind of call themselves looking for, or the American dream, or whatever it is that you feel like. And like you said, as you start to get older, especially with us, like I love what I do, and by the grace of God, I was able to walk away from corporate America because that was the biggest thing for me. Is kind of like, okay, I'm not getting a salary, and I was making good money. I made the most money I've ever made in my career last year when I was in St. Louis, and to walk away from that.
Hey, well, why are you thinking about that? Let me hold this up. I know you got it, goddamn.
No.
Thousands of people heard IsIs Mustard Seed Jones, and she done made a slew of money.
Like I said, that was last year, and that's before the move and everything else.
No nigga
she said she spent it. In so many words, she spent it, dog.
I ain't say that. I'm just saying it again. It's like, we got expenses and overhead. So, but no, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's an opportunity for you to basically learn.
Yeah, and see, and the reason why I say that is because, in my little life being self-employed, I meet a lot of people.
Right.
Good, bad, ugly, and sad. And right now, shout out myself with the Recovering Whole Comedy Tour. I look at this 35-city tour, by the way, starting August 26th in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, at Hyenas Comedy Nightclub.com. August 26th. That's Friday.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So here the thing is, I set up that tour. I ain't gonna go in full detail because I charge for shit like that now. But the thing was, a lot of the people who I connected with are people who I got good relationships with in business.
Right.
I could have slaughtered their ass thoroughly early on, years ago, but I wouldn't be in a position to do this now.
Right.
So that's why I say money is like. I think we get presented with opportunities all the time that seem like it's so lucrative.
Right.
But I look at, damn, I got to fuck over Sam. I gotta just to take. And as much as I would love to, I'd be like, dawg, I think certain shit is just more valuable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because your name, your reputation.
That shit is so much more valuable.
People being able to trust you and you being able to be loyal to the game, I think is more important than basically selling yourself out. Because, a lot of folks don't take that into context. It's kind of like, well, it'll catch up with me when I die. Okay. And that's perfectly fine. But that's the way you want to get down. That's fine. I said, but I can't sleep at night. I got a conscience. I know that at some point in time, this shit is going to end up. Karma is real. God is real. Whatever you want to sit here and call it. and I can't take the charge on
And
that.
see, people got to realize too. See, one thing I learned about life: nobody really likes to get embarrassed.
No.
And I even been that way as a kid. I can watch you get an ass whooping and be like, you
And
know
I
what?
don't want no part of
Dad,
that.
exactly what.
I'm
I
good,
I
Auntie.
ain't got to do that shit
I was tripping.
to prove it.
I'll make sure he's straight next time.
So it's like some people they do
I'm outta
carry
here.
that method. Like when you think about Bernie Madoff.
Mm.
Bernie Madoff,
Madoff.
from what I read, they said this fucker slaughtered these folks for $50 billion with a B, not no 50 million. $50 billion because people trusted him. He had a good
made
name.
off when he said he made off.
But watch this.
Off.
Now people say you get me in the end. All right, they got him in the end.
Mm.
But who the fuck want to go to prison at 70? After all that ball, like the young thug around the whole house. It's inhumane in this hole. He hollering, inhumane in this hole because he been rich all this. Don't nobody want
Okay.
that. That's why I say to me, I'd rather like the old statement. You remember the movie Colors?
Mm-hmm.
And the dude was talking about, come on, man, you to tell him about the story about the bull. He's like, man, come on, let's run down there and fuck one of them bulls. And he said, no, let's walk down there and fuck them all. So I kind of got that concept, man. Let's just walk where we need to go because I heard an older guy. I've been cutting out 28 years, like total, 24 professional. And I remember it was an old guy. He was like, the older you get, you start walking through shit. Fuck that running, fuck that job. He was like, you literally everything. Like I find myself getting up and I'm in pat. You know what I mean? Like before I leave a hotel room, if I got to check out at 12, because I always get a late checkout. If I got to check out at 12, you better believe I'm in that whole 2 hour early padding. And then I put all the shit at the door.
Right.
Then I put all my shit on. As I lotion up, I put it in the bag.
You'll become a real old man.
I'm an old nigga.
I'm an old nigga, man. But that's the beauty of it. A lot of us don't even get to that point. But it's the fact that, again, that you have enough experience where you can go, okay. Like, I feel sorry for the folks that, you keep on repeating the same dumb mistake over and over again. Like, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
But when you get to a point where you're supposed to know better and do better. And I think that's the fun part about growing up, and especially being in this industry, is that, once you get to a certain point, you're kind of like, okay, I've been here before. Yeah. Act like it. Okay, don't keep on repeating the same dumb shit. But that's for folks who want to continue to progress and move forward.
Yeah, that's true.
Stipulations vary too,
Yeah.
And then, I think being in a position to be able to kind of call a few of them stipulations, you know what I'm saying, where you want to be. But, of course, we know we don't all start there. Like you said, it's a process to get to the point of being able to say, we doing that one like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'd rather have it like this. Or, it's a process in getting to that point. You know what I'm saying?
Because IsIs, only thing I just believe in life, and this with anything.
Right.
Don't nobody owe me shit but to be fair.
Right.
Anything outside of that is a consequence you may not want to face. And that means beat up, shot, cracked on, holler at out loud. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's a consequence. Because think about it. Don't nobody grown want to get hollered at. Just imagine.
Especially in front of nobody.
Let's just say you had a band at your event, right? And you owed them $750, right? So now you talking shit and the nigga like, bitch, fuck ISIS over motherfucking weak ass bitch.
Hey,
that shit hurt just as bad. That hurt just as bad. You don't want to hear that shit.
Time out.
So be fair.
Father God.
Be fair. But think about how bad that shit hurt though. Nigga hollering at
Storm in the room.
Shit.
Looking for you.
Hey, K1, did I tell you the motherfucker, man, you don't want to kill that nigga, man.
But you know what? There have been times when I've had it happen, and it's just kind of like, okay, it's like, dog, like for real, this is what we doing.
Bigger, huh?
And that's what it comes down to. I have to admit,
don't be fucking around. I'm gonna fuck that chick up. I ain't gonna even lie to you. All that hollering, woo, fuck that mother.
Hey, it's a process to get to the point to not have about hollering.
Okay, but when it comes out the clean, you just be like, okay, look, what did I do? But and I be thinking I'm the most peaceful person on the planet. So when it happens, it's kind of like, damn, what the hell did I do? But on the same note,
but peaceful people always get tried because of your demeanor. Some people can't accept that damn shit cool. Some people like, That weak motherfucker. I'm
I'm
finna
try.
I'm finna try.
I'm finna be one to disturb that piece.
But
That
you
shit
know
real.
what? But the fucked up part about it is that it's
draw it.
very hard. Cause like even in the midst of it happening, I just kind of laugh and giggle and kind of move past it. Cause I don't know what you want me to do. It's like I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you, and you look crazy doing what you're doing in front of me. So it's kind of like, okay, for me to actually acknowledge you is to actually give you some energy and give you some time.
Yeah.
And I refuse.
Like it
But
count.
now you right. But on the other perspective,
Now,
this
now,
what
if you touch me,
this what I learned too.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Cause see, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a peaceful soul. I'm a fire sign. I'm a motherfucking half man, half horse at the Torah. But I really like to run from conflict. But sometimes, like, you ever been somewhere and white people just saying little out of line shit, and you be trying to walk off, and you got to meet them with, man, who the fuck you talking to?
I just watched them.
Every now and then.
I just watched them.
That shit fine.
And there were a couple moments in watching the show, I was kind of like, ooh, Father God. You know, I couldn't have been raised in the 50s and 60s. I would have killed myself and everybody else in the community.
They just showed the niggas they did that too. They ain't showed them niggas who would have beat the skin, beat their outfit up, beat them overalls.
What they want us to see.
Oh yeah, cause it was a lot of people. Like think about it, for us to be here, it was some ass kicking ass niggas.
Had to be in.
That was around that whole look. I used to work for you now, but you put your hands on me. I'm talking about had that whole right on his lid. So yeah, it was.
It was a nigga praying, but it most definitely had to been some nigga kicking some ass too.
They
There
showed
ain't no way around that.
They showed New Bethel then.
But to know that we come from that and that we have survived this long should be a point of conversation, should be something that's recognized, something that's celebrated as we move forward. And I guess I don't see enough of that. But as you were saying earlier, in the sense of just how we deal with each other, I'm sure you putting your hands on me. There ain't really nothing for me to sit here and say to you, because you coming at me is already showing me that you are in a prostate position. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. You know, when I see people kind of going through it, it's like, all right, you know, do I actually compound this and give you what you want, or just fuck with you some more and just let you kind of just dangle? Because again, it's like when you give people energy, you give them your attention, and when you give them your attention, you get shook out of your own spot. And like I was trying to tell somebody the other day, it's like how I look basically working to take care of your shit, and my shit ain't done.
Right.
You know, so I spend energy and opportunity basically making sure that you're straight and I'm not straight. That's not smart. And it leads itself to basically your own demise. And I think that's the frustration I feel with a lot of us, is that you don't even take your own self seriously, but you want other folks to take you seriously.
Yeah.
So until you actually see yourself in that position and see your worth and see exactly what you're trying to accomplish, and better yet, have a clear picture to the point where you actually do the fucking research and take the experience and not bitch about, when I ain't making no money and I ain't gonna, well, find some other folks out there who want to sit here and pay you that, but also realize that even in the process of that, there's going to be a process to it. You are going to get juked out, shook by your ankles at some point in time, no matter how big you think you are. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to be somebody that's bigger in the game that's going to be able to sit here and size you up and decide they're going to sit here and play the role. So you have to kind of decide on, like what Vinny was saying, it's just the fact that you got to decide on which side you're going to sit here and stand. You gonna stand for darkness, or you going to stand for light? Mm-hmm. Are you going to sit here and stand up for what is righteous? Because you can get your money that way. A lot of us ain't been taught that, though.
Yeah.
You know, I said, like, when I see those little videos on television or on the internet TV, as your mama would say, it's on the internet TV.
On the YouTube.
Y'all basically teaching these kids to steal, to be criminals. And I understand that, you know, the systems are there, and I think that's my biggest frustration right now. It's not even the individual stuff, it is just the fact that we are in such a position right now. And
what exactly you saying they stealing on? It was on the clip.
There was a little clip with this little boy. If you think about it, because his mama's running through the beauty store. Mama is running through the beauty store. No, sorry. This mama is running through the beauty store, and she's boosted. So she's basically stealing wigs off of these racks. But these two little kids are coming behind her. She points on the one that she wants. They come behind her, basically sit here and steal it, put it in their jackets, and keep it moving. Now, the camera in the store is basically caught this. But because of you walking out there with those 3 or 4 wigs, whether you use them for yourself or and again, survival is what it is.
Making money though. It's making money
But that's
though.
what I'm saying though.
It's
But that's the
making
whole
money,
conversation. So what's
though.
the difference between homegirl
The moral of the story is
and
teaching them
the
how to
court?
steal. And that's
What's
exactly
the
what they're
difference
doing.
between
Fucking over
homegirl
the
and the
game.
That's the moral of the
corporation though?
story, yeah.
What's the difference?
Both of them bad. And actually, to me, corporate is actually worse. Like, I'm going to give you another example. I done seen companies, cause I love numbers, and I read miscellaneous shit all the time. I sat down and watched a company one year. They was like, they made $51 billion a year, for an example, right? So they said this year, they made $50.5 billion, so they took a loss and they had to fire all these people. But me, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so these people were loyal to you. For 20 years straight, you made a profit. But this year, you made the money, you just was half shorter than you expected.
Yeah, you ain't lost nothing.
And you gonna fire them? So, to me, why not take the other half and just bless your folk? They allowed you to get to 50. That's what I mean by I understand when people say business is business, but the way I think as a righteous man, as a God-fearing man, that's some fuck shit.
Well, the moment they make
That's some fuck
corporations,
shit.
the moment they make corporations just as important as individuals, the shit was shot.
Yep.
It was over. It was a wrap. You know, it's kind of the gigs up. You know, that's one of the reasons why your boy made president. You know, so it's like I'm not mad about it because again, you know, they don't set the it's just the goalpost keeps on moving, and it's never changed.
But I always think though, now like I said, it's just my little perspective. I think a lot of times when things happen to us as people, not just black or white, is because we just say, fuck it. All the way to that shit get right here, and then you want to fight.
Until it show up in
Till
your
it show up
front
at your
yard.
doorstep.
Like Brian K. Wright say, you got to sue.
Yeah, you got to
That's the only way it's going in the history book.
Yeah.
People look at suing as bad, but when he said, when I read that, it made a lot of sense.
Some people
You got to sue.
I need to get your attention.
And they're going in writing at that point, and won't nobody else be able to do it again.
That's right.
That's how you got to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Suing ain't always, man, you ain't got to sue them folks. No, you got to sue them.
That's right. That's just like even like
They gotta hit ink.
Like in local politics, not speaking on our market, but you know we got a lot of cities that got black mayors and black councilmen and black senators and black all this shit, right? Now I hear black people all the time be like, "Man, just leave ISIs alone. She doing the best she can." No, fuck that. It's not because you're bashing them, but when most of them run, they say hold me accountable.
Right.
So that means if we told you to hold that mic up 90 degrees and that bitch at 45, you can't be mad because somebody said something to you.
Right.
And then I like to say something to you, not because I don't like you, because I like to challenge you.
Right.
Because I know, but 150,000 people don't know.
Right.
So me asking you challenging questions and you getting mad, you're a fuck nigga. Or fuck bitch, whatever how you want to say it. But what I'm saying is I think that politics should be that because you are voted to fucking serve. Right. You're not a fucking leader.
Right.
You're your own leader. You serve the community and they pay you for your thoughts and ideas to be of service to them. And most of the politicians now all over the country looking at it like, nigga, this is my shit. We do what the fuck we want. No. It don't supposed to go that way.
Lead servant.
And I think that challenges.
It's a certain position.
Yeah, and I think challenges is what keep it honest. Because if I was a mayor or governor or whatever, I want somebody saying, nigga, you need to change. I'd be like, man, what are you talking about? And then when you eat, you like, well, damn, I can see how that part makes sense.
Right.
Because a lot of times people just want to be heard. But
That's
it.
Right.
You know, and sometimes it's just, okay, bro, I want to see you before the people. We're going to challenge you to do this. And I don't think we get
and that's
enough
the
of that.
beauty of the system that we do have. You know, everybody wants to talk on the fact that, you know, it's so broken down. And it is, just like everything else in this country. But that's the one thing where you can hold people accountable. It's just that enough people do that because it's kind of like, well, you know, I have a criminal past or I've done this in the past. I'm just kind of like, okay, but the conversation still applies. You know, it's like I'm always amazed how much people get caught up with the messenger. And miss the whole message. It's kind of like, well,
disregard that.
Kevin Samuels, and I'm just kind of like, you can hate the man, but the message still remains the same. That the black family is still being broke apart by the way we basically think, not even so much by the man. So you know, you have all these different pieces of it that play into it. You know, look now, I look, rest in peace, brother, because there was just some things. But being raised,
they assassinated Kevin Samuels all over again. on the internet.
Yeah, they really, if you
So,
listen,
I mean, to hear that point of view from a woman, that's interesting now.
and if you listen to Kevin Samuels, one thing I would definitely give him this. He spoke from the motherfucking facts. Yeah. He showed you data. Because really, at the end of the day, a lot of this shit is our opinion, what we're talking about. But if he showed data, that's the only thing that we really could agree upon. By somebody saying, hey, now this shit say Sam. Yeah. Now, goddamn it, that's where your medium is.
Don't question him,
it's
question
the
God.
It's important to being accountable, and a lot of us don't like to sit here and see that, and the system has been set up, you know, and I did agree with Kevin in the sense that, you know, black family was important, and the way that we were being presented to each other just wasn't applicable, you know, and better yet, the way that some of us are being raised, male and female, is not applicable to actually having healthy families. And until you actually get some real perspective on why you do what you do, you're just going to keep on repeating cycles. And folks don't want to acknowledge that. And then the real part that I'm still going to beat to death is the fact that folks don't want to take in consideration biology. We always want to dance around, well, you know, we're smarter and better than the monkeys and shit. Okay. You know, it's kind of like, when you think about the actual religious aspect of it, when we think about, well, God made man. Yes, God did make man. God made man with an X and Y chromosome, okay? And the act that this act is so powerful and so wonderful continues the offset of our species. This is going to get done, whether it's you or something else, okay? So a man's nature and his DNA is built in the fact of him being able to produce testosterone as well as sperm and everything else to produce this child, to get humans to populate, to move forward. Now, that's really unfeely. It doesn't feel nice to women, and how dare you? And
it's facts.
It's facts. But when you take into context that you're raising these men, because a lot of fuck niggas I done bumped into lately have been folks that haven't had any real strong male components in their lives. Yeah. You're taking on female characteristics.
You talking to niggas who draw snap in the middle.
You know what? I don't know what their orientation is now.
I ain't talking orientation. I ain't saying orientation.
Orientation, how you put your drawers on. I don't know none of that. I really don't. No, it's like how you.
That's a representation.
I don't even think. But I know some strong South cats. You know, it's not even so much the softness as it's just the fact that you have not had all the instructions of what it takes in essence to basically be a healthy male component, and not saying that you had that in your family, or better yet, that you had examples of that around you. But everything that's in your home is screaming, niggas ain't good. Men ain't shit. How do you expect a young man to grow up completely if he doesn't have other male components around him showing that they are? Yeah. But if it's coming strictly from you as a woman, how do you expect this man to grow up properly? But because of your trauma, you can't sit there and say that correctly or love that young man correctly.
That's right. Yeah. Right, look at us, goddamn Dr. Phil.
I'm sorry, but I'm just bumping into too many of y'all. I'm just bumping into too many of y'all.
Don't say y'all, you bump too many of them. You bump too many of them.
That's a T chromosome.
I'm bumping into many black men who are in this experience. Yeah. So there has to be something to that. Yeah. Yeah. And that has to be addressed in the sense of, okay, you know, we love black men and we want, but you can't sit there and say that on one hand and then come around and do some dumb shit on the other. You got to pick and choose what you want, you know, and be real about it. You know, if you just want to, out here, you know, if you just want $40, say it. You know,
$40? What do you mean, $40? I mean,
so being a daddy's girl, that the female characteristics that you say like a man has to get from around being around a man, those guys that, you know, come up in the homes that rarely have, you know, that male example in them. So where do the daddy's girls, you know, get those examples from the other women in your family, or, you know,
see, and I didn't get that.
Older sisters.
I didn't get that. My father tried hard in the sense of making sure that there were other women around me, and I got from like Mrs. Cheers. I think there was another lady that my father was friends with. She was a neighbor. I saw through her. My mother wasn't necessarily there early on, and it's not a bad thing. Like I said, my mother is the most incredible person, and she had her own way of coming up. And I wish I could have understood that a lot better when I was younger, because she went through a lot. But that formulated the aspect of our relationship. And no, I didn't get that until I started getting older and actually searching and coming into context with women that I felt comfortable enough to actually articulate my not knowing. You know, it's funny because I don't know how a lot of women come into understanding about sex. I was introduced to it through pornography and through a simple book that my mom kind of gave to me to kind of explain what was going on with me physically as a young woman. And it was a book that basically just kind of broke down sexual, context, hygiene, jobs. It's just like a little thick book. This was it. It wasn't a conversation.
Your perspective.
Through porn, you watch that West Coast production.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like it's at the cousin's house. The VHS. Well, it was like it was my cousins and I. And my uncle had a closet full of Playboy and Penthouse magazines. So of course, when the folks go out to play and everything, it's kind of like, oh, they got porn in here. It's kind of like, what? And unfortunately, again, I'm like, you're looking at male magazines. So this is kind of like the only orientation to it is just kind of like you're just objectified. So you look at it from that standpoint.
So what about that Boozilla? What about that Boozilla? You seen that Boozilla?
I don't know what that is.
I mean, we'll talk about that on camera. But Boozilla,
I don't know what that is.
Boozilla was the hardest of the hardest of the hard. That shit had rap beats to the beat. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever the song was, they moved to the beat.
Okay.
Most of them came in to find that stuff out like that. Ain't nobody I know that sat down and folks sat them down and had no birds and bees conversation for real. That was on Leave the Bees.
You learned that from your older cousins.
Yeah, exactly.
And they didn't know shit
being
either.
sociable. Somebody that was a little older than you.
They didn't know nothing either. And they passing on you talking about the era of misinformation. I swear to God.
You gonna get you some of that too.
Plenty. A whole bunch of it.
You had to figure some things out, and we still.
I was gonna say that with
we still trying to figure this out with our babies now because again, y'all don't want to sit here and be honest. It's just kind of like just keep it 100. You're not condoning it as much as like you wouldn't sit there and send your child out, not letting them know that you get behind police officers and you don't do no dumb shit and you sit there and take your ass home and keep your hands tended to. You tell them all that. Tell them the same thing.
That's right.
Have the conversation. It's kind of like they didn't get there by osmosis or the damn what is it? The crane or the what's more things called? They used to bring the babies to the house with the
stork.
Stork, thank you.
Them storks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I ain't bring them in no diaper and drop them off.
I ain't do that.
No, I mean, but that's just it's just a conversation. Like I said, I'm never afraid of a conversation. So
my theory on that is what you were talking about. Like I said a lot of times, kids gonna constantly watch you.
Right.
24/7.
They're gonna watch you before they sit and listen to you.
You can take your son, teach him how to swing the bat, throw a football, but at some point you got to be a woman.
Yep.
And when you do, he's still watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you really gotta have that male role. Brother, somebody.
At some point.
I mean, and it's articulated, and people don't seem to understand. This is one of the reasons why they have the male and female roles, so that basically you can sit there and see things play out. And because if it's been skewed in any possible way, and again, it's not to say that you're wrong or something's wrong with you or the fact it may be, but it's still one of those things where you have to kind of take shit into context.
Yeah.
And have the conversation and be real about yourself and how you got here.
A world full of Clippers.
I was just gonna say they facing the same world you had to face, but they facing a different world that we had to face because info is right there, right now.
You can Google, like I said, you can Google anything.
It's right there, right now.
Right now, and that's the sad part of it. I feel sorry for them to a certain degree.
Oh man.
I appreciate my ignorance to a certain degree. Had I had all that information at that age, I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I probably would have done. The fact that half the stuff I did ain't gonna show up on nobody right
Can't go back and find when I'm in 20.
Good luck, that VHS, baby.
1990. 19
that beta and then everything like, good luck trying to find them is I just clip, you know. But it's still one of those things where I feel bad because that was the biggest thing. Like when I was growing up, Mom was like, look, don't put nothing on the internet that you don't want to see on the 5, 10, and 12 o'clock news, okay?
You run around with them same lunatics. Ain't none of that on. Ain't none of that on the internet.
Look, Mom, that was something like, look,
Daytona and Freaknik and all that on.
Don't do anything that's gonna sit here and come back to haunt you. And I was like, you know what? Good point.
I got a question to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Using one of the major markets in St. Louis, how do you, aside from the money, how do you make the decision to go from a major market to Birmingham?
Interesting.
Which the first time or the second time?
Both.
The first time was basically kind of out of necessity. I had an opportunity to actually come to Birmingham because again, it's like you get to a point, especially when you're going through emotional things. Like I told you, I had, they had fired the whole staff. I was working for the station and ended up leaving 95 to actually go over to Magic, which was a heritage station. And I had worked for them before, Chuck Atkins. And because of just the structure of where I came from and them firing everybody, and I just wasn't happy. They had transferred me from being on air, and I had to be a promotions director for a couple of months. And the new management and I just didn't agree on some things. And again, that's just the nature of the business too. That sometimes you're gonna agree and sometimes you're not. And unfortunately, at that point in time, I didn't have a contract with the station at the time, so I was able to expeditiously move over. And again, if I hadn't been talented and I hadn't had some type of upkeep with myself, it wouldn't have even been a conversation. So they ended up bringing me back on. I worked for Magic, and I could do hip hop as well as old school R&B. Mm-hmm. So I was an asset in that regard. But that got tiring, and I didn't have a full contract. I wasn't making a salary. I was actually just kind of getting paid hourly, and I didn't have the benefits and everything else that I wanted. So here you come with a mid-level market in Birmingham that's saying, hey, we're going to pay you to move. We're going to give you, we're going to put you on in a prime position, and we're going to pay you X amount of dollars, and you get a whole new situation. And at that point in time, between my emotional state with my relationship at the time and the aspect of what I was going through with the radio station and business, it was easy. It was easy. And then on top of that, I'm going back down south, close to my people, so it's a wrap. And then on top of that, they made the fatal mistake of actually recruiting me during Classic. They was wrong as hell for that. So 11 years later, I was in Birmingham, and the conversation's never really been had, but it's kind of like with Summit, and I love everybody over there. I really do. I thoroughly appreciate 98.7 because it was my proving grounds completely, along with St. Louis, and I had the best times, and the magnitude, like you said earlier, about people listening, and half the city grew up with me. I grew up with y'all. We all grew up together. So to hear me on the radio was a major staple. You knew exactly at 10 o'clock Monday through Friday. You knew exactly what the fuck you was getting.
Goddamn,
and I loved that. I was happy just to be there. And to listen to the music and be a part of that. I didn't think about. It didn't really dawn on me how many people were listening until they actually showed me the numbers. Like during my show, it was like over $125,000 for people listening at the same time. That scared the shit out of me.
The more people you can reach on a page.
But it also made me extremely resolute of knowing the importance of what I was saying, what I was doing, and everything had to be a certain way. But I think the other thing is that you get to a point where you start to get to realize what your worth is.
Yeah.
And when people start kind of like acting like you ain't shit,
gotta make moves on the chessboard.
No worries, and God always opens doors for me through whoever or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, my faith. What is my middle name?
Must see.
If you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to the sycamore tree to be moved across the ocean, and even with a small amount of faith, it will be moved. Okay, so I don't get caught up, and I think that's another reason why I've been successful as long as I have. I don't get caught up in the business. Okay, Because again, I work at this radio station. I don't work for this radio station. And it's not even a component of me being an LLC. It's the fact that I work for God. Now, I know who I am. I know whose I am. So I don't worry about a lot of stuff because, again, I have not missed a meal. And if I need to miss one, I can. But the point being, the can is the fact that but the fact is that again, it's a blessing. This is a blessing. Every day above ground, every day that you get to sit here and do something that you absolutely love in the door, it is a blessing. So if you fuck that over, that is your fault.
That's real.
All right.
Ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. So I get up every day and everybody's like, so how do you feel you don't have? Sir, you can take all this away. What is it to have plenty? I have been content with everything. I have been content with nothing. And I'm still okay. And leaving and being a military brat and being able to get up and go and do all the things that my father got into and all the states and countries that we lived in, getting up and going was never an issue with me. You think about it, because again, it's kind of like we said before, like I was saying to somebody before about, Moses. I'm kind of like, he's going to give you a message that nobody else is basically going to be able to understand. And it's not for them to understand. It's not their message. It's for you, and it's your purpose, and it's what you're supposed to be basically doing. And if you are not doing it, it is a sin. So don't let anybody sit there and tell you that you're not supposed to be doing it. If that has been a seed that's been planted in your heart, you roll with that.
Is that out the King James or the Gideon?
You know what? All them things, okay? All them things. All things.
Wrote in different
Philippians 4
words.
verse 13. I can do all things with Christ who strengthens me, and I'll give a damn what nobody else basically says. You can sit there and stand on there, take it to the bank, write your check, do what you got to do.
That's right. That's right.
Before you go in the wrapping up, before we go ahead and wrap up, I know I want to
pass the offering plate. Let's go.
Ask you how much interest you had in agriculture, because I kind of seen that in your bio too.
Oh my God,
you heard me and K1 talking about the watermelons earlier. K1 showed me the watermelons.
It's actually Watermelon Day today. Did you know that? It's actually Watermelon Day.
Okay.
It's National Watermelon Day today.
Watermelon Day, K1.
Actual Watermelon Day today.
Yeah.
Yes, let's go ahead and do that. But no, my family used to be sharecroppers back in the day, and we had some property down in Georgia and
some poppies.
Property.
Oh, okay. Y'all going hard. I wasn't even supposed to say that on camera,
but say no.
You caught me by surprise. Ooh, y'all sharecroppers for real. But
no, I'm excited. Yes, please, Liz.
Okay.
I'm excited. Like, it's funny because everybody's fighting to be in front of the camera and do all these things. I'm fighting to disappear. I really am. It's the thought of, thank you, my love.
Oh, no problem.
The thought of having my own 40 acres and a mule.
You want to start a tab?
It's real.
You want to start a tab? God, that's about I always want to say, you want to start a tab?
So, like, we're going to talk after we shut the camera down. But it's just the fact of just putting your hands on. Everybody should be able to do this. And the fact they shutting this stuff, that's another conversation I can get into. Man, I got to catch myself.
We go all night on that.
That, and how far removed we are from our land and our ability to take care of ourselves. If they shut this shit down tomorrow, we'd be all down.
So are they growing? Are your people still growing on that property? That they
individually, yes.
Just something like
yes.
personal
but
use?
I'm the one that wants to go back and actually do some stuff. Okay.
That was just that.
Okay.
You got one other thing. You got a little bird told you to sing.
No.
Well, I will say this. I went down to Dallas. I went down to Dallas with JJ from the SIP. And I won the karaoke contest, but that's because nobody else could sing. That's the only reason I won.
Humble pie at its finest. That's what's up.
I'm going back to get my crown.
That's what's up.
Radio and all that stuff, kind of entertainment, comedy, rap, singing, all that entertainment.
I have been a lover of music, and that's how it started. It started actually with voiceover. No, actually started with
singing in church. No, that's where it usually started for both people.
No, because I couldn't actually sing like them. I used to always get bothered because everybody be expecting you to sing like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston, and I was not that girl. I was more like T-Boz.
Alto tenor.
Alto
Right.
tenor, just having some fun with it. But now, yeah, that was my range and back in the choir. That was my position, alto tenor.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. It's been great talking to you, Isis. I know
Yeah,
because
man.
honestly, we really got to do a part two because we'll be sitting about 3 hours.
You think
We
so?
have some great interviews.
Yeah.
It ain't every week
Yeah.
though. You have no special guests.
I agree.
Thank you.
Legend
And to
in the
be a
city.
part of your 100th episode, that was really, I didn't really take it all in. I was like,
Oh yeah,
it's
oh
100
yeah,
show.
for
That's
sure,
special. Thank you.
for sure. But yeah, so Isis, so anything you got coming up, give your social media info, how to get in touch with you, and all
I
that
just
good
want
stuff.
y'all to check out the show, Room 1420, Monday through Friday. It's on V94.9. You can download the app. We're taking Room 1420 on the road, so there will be a couple different things coming into play. Just follow and just have some fun. I'm subject to getting into some dumb shit periodically, and I'm there for it. I love independent artists, so if you have some music and you want to share it, by all means, hit me up. I love networking and meeting new people. I think Benny and Sam can basically tell you I don't meet too many strangers, so I'm pretty open. Just don't come with no bullshit.
Oh yeah,
Love your personality.
Thank you,
oh
Ben.
yeah, oh yeah.
But it's just kind of like I just want to shine on us. It was an opportunity to actually do some work with some folks. Just speak up, say something. I'm not gonna say it's be immediate because a bitch got priorities. But it's also one of those things again. I love y'all, and I just want to find different ways for us to be able to express that through different mediums and through different folks. So, ISIS, is okay, like the terrorist and the goddess. M as in Mary Jones, Jones. That is it. I have the IsisMJones.com, and I'm Isis M Jones pretty much on every social media platform. So just keep up with this, sis. Let's have some fun.
Okay. Hey, well that's what's happening.
Oh, and also I'm gonna be on the road with Benny at some point in time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dragging him through St. Louis and a couple of other places.
Oh, yeah.
So
Hey,
Look out for that.
since you mentioned that, I guess what she's referring to, I do have the Recovering Whole Comedy Tour, and I also manage superstars online, Dad As and Melissa. So to book them, you can book them, but also I got a really promotional tour for the Recovering Whole Comedy Tour, and it's coming to a city near you soon. I got 35 already lined up. I'm trying to get it to 100, so we can add dates as we please. It don't make no difference what day of the week. I'm gonna rock that bitch. So hey, that's what it is. Make sure you check out the website at bennymac205.com. Make sure you follow this platform, Barbershop Stories Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all the above. My man Simon No Nose here. Isis M. Jones for episode 100. Myself, comedic narrator, haircut slanger, Benny Mac. K1 on the ones and twos. And I ain't talking about DJing. I'm talking about the camera and the tripod.
Watermelon Day, baby.
That's
Plus 1-0.
what I'm talking about. Take a real nigga to know it's Watermelon Day.
National
goddamn.
Watermelon Day.
But yeah, man. So hey, y'all make sure y'all follow this. It ain't just a show, it's a movement. So hey, we'll see you episode 101. You know what I'm saying? Or 101 or 101. We'll start back from the basics. We'll see you next week, and that's what it is. And hold on. I forgot. The barbershop, 20-year anniversary is this Friday. We celebrate
Not
20
only the
years.
100th show, the 20th anniversary.
Nice.
That's right. We've been
But
at
it's
20
location.
Y'all that out nicely.
20 years, August the 5th. And that's also my one of my brother's birthday, old Lil Truck, Thomas Holmes, Organic Drip. Yeah, his birthday is on that day as well. So we're going to do it big. We're going to give out a few hot dogs, a few burgers. Well, Friday, we just slanging free fish sandwiches.
Oh, shit.
And it's going to all be done by Big Gloss Barbecue. So he going to do that. And then Saturday, we're going to do a block party, and we're going to do fish sandwiches, burgers, hot dogs, whole nine, free water, all that shit.
Don't
We
get your
take
fish
shots all
sandwich,
day.
smoke one big truck.
We're going to do all that
Fish
shit.
sandwich.
And then don't forget, too, now, Big Gloss Barbecue, he's doing the food. So, and he's been a long time customer of the shop, so we try to keep that money in circulation. And, hey, it's gonna be
It's a village,
beautiful.
baby. It's a village. Take a village.
It's going to be beautiful because remember
Takes
now,
a village.
20 years on the come here, 20 years. The next time you see 20 years, I'll be 62. You know what I'm saying? Hey, 62 years. Hey, another 20 years from now, ain't no telling what been happening, but we do know this. It's happening now. So we're going to live in the now and plan for the motherfucking future, but we're going to live in the now. So that's what it is. I'm comedic narrator, haircut slanger, Benny Mac. Make sure you come by here and, hey, just show your face. Take a shot with us. Like I said, 20 years on to come every 20 years. and come by and talk to us, man. That nigga there, wealth of experience. Myself, wealth of experience. Corey, wealth of experience. Even Older Luther King with his hard head ass, wealth of experience. You know what I'm saying? So come through, get a little game, take a shot. We doing that shit all Friday, all Saturday, and then Saturday night we doing a block party. So hey, y'all look for that.
Kick it, man.
That's right.
Going hard.
That's right. That's right. So remember, hey man, 20 years on to come every 20 years. Look for that recovering whole comedy tour. It ain't just a saying. That shit real. And it's coming to a city near you soon. Shout out to all my hoes. That's what it is. And bye.
Yeah, been fun. Really enjoyed you.